Oh, look at this. This is carpet. Oh, it's a big moment. Let's open it up, sit it out on the flat concrete out there. Take a look at it. My name's Blinky, and welcome to my garage. Molded carpets. I'll put a link in the description, like always, of where I got this one from. They look like they're molded pretty well too. They got really good shape through the tunnel. Looks like a nice little footrest there. I'm going to have to cut all the little holes out required for, you know, the throttle, the seat belts, and all that kind of stuff, which isn't going to be too hard. The gear stick and the handbrake will have to get sliced up as well. But I'm just going to let them kind of soften up in the sun a little bit while I clean the interior of the car. Okie doke, with the interior vacuumed out and tidied up nicely, all I have to do now is run these speaker wires through into the rear so that they're ready to go into the back panel at some point. Before I actually put the carpet in for good, I will need to put a underlay in here, something that goes in between the carpet and the floor pan, just to give it a little bit of cushiness and also just a little bit more sound deadening. The sound deadening in here is actually kind of okay. It's not like that area there is probably the worst, and this little bit here, but it's really not worth ripping it all out and putting new stuff in, because 90% of it is still adhered very well to the bottom of the floor pan. So I think I might just get some nice cheap underlay, put it over the top after I fit the carpet. But for now, we'll get the carpet in. I'll cut up all the holes and areas where it needs to live. We'll try and fit this up nicely and see what it looks like with the carpet in it. Should look almost like a finished car. So let's grab this carpet. Should be nice and soft now, and get her in there. Now I've got to get a knife or pair of scissors, ideally a Stanley blade, put a slot in here so I can feed it over the handbrake. I don't have any blades left, so I'm going to use some scissors. Need a little bit more of a relief cut in the back. Alright, we've got a few more cuts to do. Got to get rid of this bracket where the seat sits on left and right, and all the rest of it. Now this one's just a kind of a nugget coming out from the top of the bottom of the car here. So I've just made like an X shape that should fold the carpet up the edges of this and push down on top. I do have to bear in mind I got this one here, and I think that is for seat belt as well. So that pops over nicely like so. For now I'm going to leave these tufts here, but I might go back and trim them off. I'll wait and see. Now when doing this, always cut a hole smaller to what you think you need. You can always make a hole bigger, but you can't make it smaller if you stuff it up. So now I'm just going to work out how much of the front carpet I actually still need there, because I think I can trim off quite a bit of this excess with the front piece lapping back over. So I'm not going to make any more cuts for now, just in case I do stuff something up. We'll measure up the front and cut out a hole for this gear stick here. Alright, so before cutting this, I'm going to measure from the front of this crest, this main beam that runs through the middle. I'm going to measure from here to the front of this upper lip of the rubber boot. And then I'll put a slot in the carpet at that distance as well. A small hole, get this over the top, and hopefully we can mimic this. I don't want too much carpet cut out, just in case I can't find a center console for this. I don't want it to be too ugly. Wow, we're actually right on point with that size. I just need the carpet to shift up more and push it right underneath this whole dash area and underneath my pedals. Pop the throttle pedal off because you can. It's just got little ball joints that pop on there. Random wire here, some earth wire. I'll have to work out what that's doing and where it's going. So I've got all this excess carpet underneath here, which I don't want. So I'm going to cut that up along the front edge of the tunnel all the way across, because I know that this is going to fold over that to cover it. I'm only going to have maybe 2 inches of overlap with this front piece folding over the rear. Alright, so I've trimmed that back a fair bit. I'll see how it looks. If it needs some more, I can keep going. That already fits a lot nicer. I can see just by looking at it, it sits in the mold nicely now. I'm just going to trim a little bit more material out here for the bolts that hold the front of the seats on. Now all I did there was make 2 little slots right where these little knobs pop out of the floor to pop into the back of this footrest. And it's just going to pop on top. You're not even going to notice that was cut. And there you've got the footrest. Seamless. That's awesome. I will take this back off for now because I've got a lot more trimming to do in here, especially this corner foot area and all this ridge here. Now this is the next step. I'm going to trim down any excess from the side I have here, but not too much because I still need enough to roll up over the edge here when I put the trim panel on. So before I chop any more off, a smart thing would be to actually grab the trim pieces that sit here on the kick sill or whatever it is, put them in position and make sure that my carpet is at the right length so they'll cover down and won't leave me any gaps. So you want the carpet to just butt up against this rail, and just for this plastic trim to push down and pinch it into place. You don't need it to roll over the edge or anything because then this will actually struggle to close. So that's a pretty good fit right through there. A tiny amount of more trimming on this side here. I've actually got too much material and that'll allow it to come over a bit more because I've got that loose. But that's how I'm going to check that all my trimming is going to be cut the right length before, you know, just going crazy with a pair of scissors and stuffing it up. Awesome. Now, if you get it right, it should look something like this. You've got your trim piece put in place and the carpet goes right up underneath this panel, and when the screws lock it down, it holds itself firm in place. So that's the amount of adjustment you're gonna have to do to this carpet all the way around. I do highly recommend you take your time with it. If you rush it and cut too much off, yeah, I don't know what you're gonna do then. But I've left myself a little bit of play. See how that's a bit cushy? That means this carpet can actually go further against this plastic, and I might fine tune that later. But for now, I'm just going to get the rest of it done around the edges, like so. Alright, so here we are again. We've got all of the little trim pieces on. When I say all of them, I mean the foot sill, and it's looking pretty good. The carpet's butted up really nicely. I even put these little side trim panels in just to make sure I got that right. Everything along there looks really decent, and also all the way along that ridge there looks quite nice. So what's left to do now is cut out the little tiny bolt holes for seat belts, and the driver's and passenger seat bolts that bolt the seats on through here. So it's going to be a quick job. Just locate them, trim them oh so small to make sure you don't have too much carpet cut out. And that's going to be a wrap for the carpet install. That's excellent. I am super happy with that. I do have to find a handbrake boot cover or something. That's one thing I don't own. I'm going to have to look around for one of those. Might have to call Peter Robinson, actually. Speaking of said Peter Robinson, this gentleman, Peter Robinson Automotive, General Automotive Repairs and Services, KE Series Corolla Spares and Repairs, that's his business card. He has helped me find a very hard to find little part, and this is the passenger side bucket for the headlights. I had the other one, but this one was non-existent. So this took me a while to find, and people on Facebook kept yelling at me to call Peter Robinson. So I did, and he's a really nice gentleman. We had a great chat on the phone. Something about the tide being in or out and people swimming. Anyway, long story. Really decent bloke. And he got me one of these buckets. So he posted this up. Now I have something to put my headlights in. Now these are headlights for this car, as in they will fit. But I went and made a boo-boo, and I accidentally ordered 24 volt instead of 12 volt. So now I have a set of 24 volt sealed beam headlights sitting there. They were very cheap. I'm not too upset. I've got a new set on the way. But for now, just for the sake of putting this together, I'm going to whack this in there. I do have the retainer spring and the 2 adjustable screws that mount it into place. And I will put these headlights in. I won't wire them up. I'll just put them in so we get a good look at the front of the car, so it looks, well, 100% completed, which I have yet to see. So let's put this in here real quick, throw the headlights in, and have a little geezer at it. If you're watching this, Peter, I need a bonnet strut or a bonnet stay. Don't have one. So we've got these little clips. The bolts go into them, nice and simple. I'll just put them in a short way, not the full distance. We've got this retainer spring. Goes in this hole, sorry, hooks onto a little hook that's on the chassis on the inside. The bolts line up to these two, and the little spring goes on the back like so. So let's do the spring first. Very simple lights to adjust. The spring just keeps it pressured against one point, and you can adjust your height, your left and right, just with these 2 screws. Very, very simple design. It works fine. Retaining ring goes over the top. Locate the screws, take them out first. Now there are a few notches in these sealed beams that need to line up with the bucket. There's 3 little notches there. They are now lined up. Do not over tighten these. They only need to just 3 of them hold it in quite enough. There's no movement whatsoever. I'll do the other one real quick. Oh, look at that. We have headlights, kind of. Obviously, I don't have the right voltage, but they look sick. Nice, original, sealed beam headlights. That looks really cool, and it's pretty much complete at the front as it sits right now. Excellent. Another piece of the puzzle has been solved. Again, this guy is a genius with KE series Corollas. No matter what you got, K30, 38, T31s, K55s, blah, 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 all the KE stuff. This guy is your man. Obviously there's his card. Give him a buzz if you've got any questions. He helped me out a ton, and he was very pleasurable to work with. That transaction was quick and easy, and it only took literally 2 business days to get that bucket up here from down south. So I will be calling him again for that kind of bonnet strut. And there was something else. I can't remember what it was, but there was something else I needed. Anyway, all right, that is looking a heck of a lot nicer. I decided to put a couple of trim pieces in. Number one, just to make sure I had them all. Number two, to make sure that everything fits. So all the carpet edging is really nice along there. The front foot panel is in. This side A-pillar is just resting in place. All the bolt holes have been cut for the front seat rails. The rear carpets are all done. Right up here along the back and the front, the carpet's all nice and butted up nicely against the kick sill there. Overall, I'd give this carpet probably a 7.5 out of 10. Most of those points are because of the ease of fit, and the mold was actually really decent and easy to work with. The carpet itself was relatively cheap. Like I said, I'll put the link in the description, but it is a little bit loose, and I think some of these edgings might, I don't know, just the carpet's not, it's not like a $400 carpet, right? But it's definitely going to get me out of trouble. Still, 7.5 stars, I reckon. Absolutely fine for this little card. I have some new carpet in the bottom of it. This is not its final resting place. I still need to pull it all back out again, put some underlay in there so it's a little bit more cushiony, a little bit nicer, so it's not just carpet sitting directly on the floor pan, because that'd be a little bit, just rough. Doesn't really feel that nice when you put your feet in there and it's on a hard surface, so I'd like to get something cushy in there. Overall, really, really happy with it. On top of that, the headlight cup is now in place, which is good, and the front is looking superb. I've got to get around to a few more things. So I'm still yet to do that rear panel and finish that off, and I have to put the front windshield in, which is going to be fun. Well, I'll see you in those, Till next time.